Today we're going to be going over the best prospect for each division. I'm going to try and keep it a prospect who's maybe like unranked or just barely outside the rankings or maybe just at that number 15 spot. But I'm going to be staying away from people like the obvious ones like Carlos Prates, or some people even still think to this day JDM is still a prospect. No, he's a contender in the welterweight division. So we're going to stay away from people who are probably ranked higher than the number 10 spot, because I feel like if you get to that spot, you're not necessarily a prospect anymore. You're now becoming a contender. That being said, let's start off with flyweight, who I think is the best prospect at flyweight right now. So the best prospect, in my opinion, at flyweight is an unranked guy named Ramazan Timirov. You might have heard of him. If not, he fought in Ryzen. He's 2-0 in Ryzen. He's 1-0 in the UFC right now. He has a upcoming fight with Charles Johnson. He looked amazing in his debut against CJ Vergara. He knocked him out in the first round, and like even if he didn't knock him out, that fight was, or that round was on the verge of just immediately becoming a 10-8, because he had knocked him down like I think 2 or 3 times and just was fucking charging after him the entire time. He's also got some decent grappling if you go and watch his fights on the regional scene. He's got some ground and pound TKOs. He doesn't really have too much submissions. I don't think he even actually has a submission now that I'm looking at it. I don't think he has a submission on his record. But, he kind of has that style where he wants to get you to the ground and pound you if he's going to grapple. If not, he's going to try and knock you out on the feet. So the thing is he has that rumored upcoming fight with Charles Johnson, and a lot of people don't like this fight. Just from what I've been talking to my friends, and I've been looking around online. A lot of people don't like the fact that he's getting a ranked opponent in his second fight. But my only defense to that would be it's at flyweight right now. We need interesting matchups. This is one of those divisions that's so shallow that you can kind of get a ranked opponent off of just your debut if you have an impressive performance. But a lot of people think that Charles Johnson is being punished by having to take a guy who's unranked, because he's just coming off of a knockout over Joshua Van, and a decision over Sumida Duerji. I don't know if I said that right, but whatever. He also beat Jay Cadley, and he's been extremely active this year. So I feel like Charles Johnson is kind of the wrong person to have fight down the rankings. Like, if we're gonna be real, I think Tagir should be fighting down the rankings again against Temirov, or maybe, well, Bruno Silva's matched up with Joshua Van, but just someone other than Charles Johnson, because all the wins he has on his resume are actually pretty good. Jay Cadley, Joshua Van, Sumida, like, he's got some sneaky good wins on his resume, and he's on a 4-fight winning streak. But I'm gonna pick Ramazan Temirov to beat Charles Johnson, just because I don't know, I have a feeling that he's kind of gonna be the next thing. The only red flag about this guy is he's kind of has that problem that Joshua Van has, where he's kind of short and he's not big for the division, and it's the smallest division in the UFC. He's 5'4". I don't know. I mean, it kind of sucks because Joshua Van's so talented, but he's also just short and he's small for the division at flyweight. Like, you can't be small for flyweight. That's just like, you shouldn't that shouldn't be happening. But Temirov is 5'4". And another thing is Johnson is 5'9", so he's definitely got a big height advantage. Going to have a reach advantage. He's going to be a lot bigger than Temirov, but at the same time, I think Temirov's going to be able to get it done. I think he's going to be kind of just that next thing at flyweight. I think the only really bad thing is maybe his jiu-jitsu defense, and also the fact that he's kind of small for the division at flyweight, which is never really a good sign. Now at bantamweight, I chose somebody who's coming off of a win pretty recently. You probably know who it is. I'm picking Vinicius Oliveira. If you know me, I tend to have a bias towards Brazilian fighters. I really like Brazilian fighters, and Charles Oliveira is my favorite fighter ever. So people are gonna call me biased because, oh, he's Oliveira's his last name, so whatever. I don't care. Listen, this guy in the UFC debut against Bernardo Sopaj, flying knees him out cold in the third round after having somewhat of a competitive fight with him, then beat Ricky Simone, kind of beat the fuck out of him, and then just completely schooled Said Nurmagomedov with a broken fucking rib. Not only a broken rib, but he also was fighting in Saudi. You're telling me you won a decision against somebody who's a Nurmagomedov. I know he's not related to Khabib. Calm down. I know. I'm just saying with that surname and it's in Saudi Arabia, the judging seems to be a little bit tunnel vision sometimes. The judges seem to think that certain shots land harder than others, and control time matters a little bit more than damage. So that's all I'm saying. He went into Saudi Arabia with a broken rib. He went to the fight injured, and he beat Said Nurmagomedov 29-28, which is incredibly impressive, in my opinion. He beat Ricky Simon, which is one of the only guys to hold a win over Merab Dvalishvili. You know, these are impressive feats that he has. He's looked pretty fucking good in all of his fights. He's never lost in the UFC. He knocked somebody out on the Contender Series to get into the UFC, and I just think he's really good. I could see him becoming ranked at the end of 2025, in my opinion. I think that you give him the right matchup. Like, honestly, I think he deserves like a Kyler Phillips. Kyler Phillips is coming off of a loss to Rob Font, where he didn't really do much in that matchup and kind of exposed that he's not really the best on the feet. So I think if you're going to give anybody a shot at the bantamweight rankings right now, somebody who deserves it, it's probably Vinicius, and you probably give him like a Kyler Phillips. And a lot of people would say, "Oh, who would your pick be if it wasn't Vinicius Oliveira?" I honestly, even if Barcelos didn't beat Talbot, I still would have put Vinicius over Talbot, just because I think that Talbot isn't as good as we think he is, and I've been saying that for a while. A lot of people are going to call me biased. They're going to be like, "Dude, you're just saying that because he lost to Barcelos." No, I've been saying this for a while. I've been saying he would get fraud checked. I didn't think Barcelos was going to be the guy to do it. However, um, I don't know. I think Vinicius is more promising than him. I think that he has probably better takedown defense after, now I actually can confirm that now after watching the Barcelos fight. I'm 100% sure that Vinicius has better takedown defense. So, yeah, that's my prospect for bantamweight. I think he'll go far in the division. I don't know if he'll ever fight for a title, but there is holes in his game. He is kind of a little bit awkward on the feet, I feel like. Every time I've watched his fights, I'm kind of just like, it's there's not only just holes there, but he gets injured in a lot of his fights. And I say that because 2 out of 3 of his UFC fights, he's been injured. He broke his foot against Ricky Simon, and well, I mean, I guess he was going into the fight with a broken rib against Said Nurmagomedov. But still, it's kind of worrying when it's like every single fight he's injured, and it's just like against the higher ends of the division, like you might be able to get away with that against Said Nurmagomedov. You might be able to get away with that against Kyler Phillips. But once you kind of start going past Kyler Phillips, then you start talking about, Jose Aldo. I don't think that matchup would ever happen, but Jose Aldo, Mario Batista, Rob Font. I feel like these guys, from that point and up, they would capitalize. They would notice that you're injured. They would try and capitalize on it. So it is kind of worrying that he gets injured, or that he goes into fights injured or breaks his foot in a fight or breaks a bone in a fight. It is worrying. But I think his ceiling might be someone like at least right now, is like a Song Yadong. I think he could improve and maybe beat a Song Yadong, in my opinion. I think him versus Kyler Phillips would be a really interesting matchup to make. Now, at featherweight, there's a lot. There's a lot of prospects at featherweight. I'm going to go with, I really hope I don't fucking butcher his name here, Kevin Vallejos. Valjos? El Chino is his nickname. He really won me over with his performance on the Contender Series, and now he's fighting on a fight night card. Let me double check. I believe is it in the Apex? Yeah, it's in the Apex, so it's okay. It's okay. He can fight in the Apex. It's not like he's a vet or anything. Anyways, besides that, his only loss in his professional career is Gene Silva. His only loss is Gene Silva. A lot of people would put Gene Silva over him, but I don't like my thing with Gene Silva is that, like, to me, I think he's just, I don't want to pick him because everybody's gonna be like, of course this dude said Gene Silva, dude. It's that, and it's also like he's probably going to be ranked by the end of the year, and he's probably not even going to be a prospect by the end of the year. He's probably like going to be, up in the division by the end of the year. But if we look at El Chino's fight on the Contender Series, he knocked out Cameron Teague, and that is Cameron Teague's only loss in his professional career. And he's bounced back from that loss since. He came back in December of 2024 because he lost on the Contender Series in September, and then he comes back in December and gets a first round knockout at Empire FC. So Cameron Teague is good. Like, he is really good. And another thing I wanted to mention about El Chino is I saw some people comparing his style to Ilya's style. Imagine his boxing is kind of like, imagine if Ilya just didn't have the fucking one shot KO power that he does. I know that might be a red flag, but the thing is that if you just think about it, you know, he has like really crisp boxing. Like, he rips the body and then he follows up upstairs. Like, if you rewatch the finishing sequence, him versus Cameron Teague, he was ripping the body and then he eventually followed it upstairs, knocked him off balance, and then finished him off with some ground and pound. That's kind of how he did it, and he was ripping the body the entire time. And he also does have some very good calf kicks. Like, he's kind of like Ilya. It's just, I don't know. I don't want to make the excuse that he was on the Contender Series. It was technically the new gloves, which are now the old gloves, and now the old gloves are back to being whatever, the gloves that everybody was complaining having a low finish rate and whatnot. So I don't know if I want to give him too many excuses, that being one of them. It's kind of interesting. I mean, maybe we'll see. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. It just seems like he does lack power. Maybe he wasn't landing too clean. I should probably rewatch the fight, but I do remember it kind of vaguely in my head. He looked fucking really good on the Contender Series, and he's scheduled to fight Sung Woo Choi. I think I'm gonna pick El Chino in that matchup. I'm going to pick El Chino. I think he does have he has what's the phrase I'm looking for? He has places to go. Like, he can improve, and I think he can only go up from here, you know? Like, I think he'll win this fight, and then I think he'll fight like another guy, and then maybe get somebody who's barely outside the rankings, and that'll throw him in the number 15 spot at the rankings, you know? I think he's really good. I really do think he is that good. And he's really young too. Like, it's not like he's, 30 coming into the UFC off a Contender Series win. He's 23. He's 23. He's coming into the UFC at 23. So we have plenty of time to see him kind of, build himself up and improve upon his game. I haven't seen too much of his grappling, but that's because I haven't seen too much tape of him. But from what I saw in the Contender Series, he's a really good prospect, and he's got a nice record. It's 14-1. Like, I like him. I like him a lot. I think he'll go far in the UFC. All right, so this one's a little bit more of a basic pick. He was ranked at one point. I think he should still be ranked, but it is what it is. I'm not going to complain about it too much. However, Yoel Alvarez, he is really fucking good. He's 7-2 in the UFC. He is 22-3 overall. His only losses in the UFC are Arman Sarukian, not a bad loss, and Damir Zmagulov, which that guy, he was 5-2 in the UFC, and then he went on to have some more success after his career in the UFC. He did some boxing, and then after, I think he did some kickboxing, and I think he did some grappling after, after his time in the UFC. But Yoel Alvarez is on a 3-fight winning streak. His only losses are to Zmagulov and to Arman Sarukian. Other than that, some of the notable names on his resume: Thiago Moises, Elves Brenner, Jakar Close. Like, he's got some decent good names on his resume. Like, these are people who, when he beat them, were kind of just barely outside of the rankings, and they kind of are still good names at lightweight to have on your resume if you're trying to get a ranked opponent. So yeah, I mean, I'll say that about Yoel Alvarez. Other than that, if he wins, he has a 100% finish rate. I think the only time he's been to a decision is against Zmagulov. Other than that, I don't think he's ever been to like a decision. I mean, I'm looking on Tapology right now, and it says win on the Spade Regional. It doesn't tell me if it's a finish or not. But other than, maybe not on the Spade Regional, if a couple of those are decisions, he's had all finishes whenever he wins. His only time he's been to a decision is against Magulov, and he lost. Other than that, fucking ground and pound, guillotine, armbar, elbows, Darce choke, fucking knees to ground and pound, flying knee to ground strikes. Not really. I mean, I guess. I mean, he kind of like I remember that fight. He flying kneed him and then kind of had him in like a guillotine type thing and started punching him in the face really hard. So I mean, I don't know. Whatever. Against your car close that was. Either way, he's really good. Somebody like told me they were describing Yoel Alvarez to me. They were like it's like he has like the most deadly stand up. Like he can fuck you up with it with the stand up, but he also has like the jujitsu of like Oliveira. Like he has the finishing instinct of like Oliveira. And I honestly think a good matchup for him. He doesn't have a fight announced or booked or anything, but a good matchup for him, in my opinion, dude, throw him in there against like Jalen Turner. They're both fucking massive for the division. You know, Jalen Turner's a weight bully. Last time he fought at welterweight, he got slept. I think Yoel Alvarez would have success at welterweight because he is 6'3", so he's a massive lightweight. And, you know, he's got insane like it's like he's more like physical than Jalen Turner. Like he's more like I don't know. Like Jalen Turner's like kind of a lanky dude, but Yoel Alvarez still has like muscle despite being 6'3" at lightweight. So, you know, I mean, I don't know. I really like Yoel Alvarez. It's going to be interesting because if he keeps winning and you know he kind of becomes a contender at like lightweight, they could put him in like a co-main event, you know, with Ilya because they're both kind of repping Spain, you know. That'd be fucking awesome, you know. And I'm starting to like a lot of these guys from Spain, like these prospects that are coming out of Spain. They're kind of like, dude, like Ilya and Yoel Alvarez are like their two biggest like representatives right now, in my opinion. They're really fun and entertaining to watch. I don't think I was ever bored watching an Ilya fight or a Yoel Alvarez fight. So that's my prospect for lightweight. At welterweight, we have Jacoby Smith. He went on the Contender Series, got a knockout in the second round, and then he made his UFC debut on the Dern versus Ribas 2 fight night, the first card of 2025, and he's actually really good. He knocked out Preston Parsons. I was going to choose Oban Elliott, but shout out to No Chill MMA. I was talking with him on the phone, and he said, you know, I was like, dude, I think Oban Elliott is going to be in my prospect video, and he said, look at the difference between their one fight in common with Preston Parsons. Oban Elliott took him to a decision, and Jacoby Smith knocked him out. And Jacoby Smith has actually got some fucking wicked knockout power. He's a pretty high finish rate. Only been to the decision twice in his UFC, or not even just UFC, in his MMA career overall. So Jacoby Smith is going to be my prospect for welterweight. I think he's really pretty decently well-rounded. Trains at a good gym. He at this rate, if he keeps finishing these people, I think he could be looking at a ranked opponent in his next 1 to 2 fights. He's actually a really good welterweight prospect. I think they should match him up with somebody who's not too far outside the rankings because I think he will go far. He's got wicked knockout power, super crisp boxing, good striker. So I think they should give him a somebody just outside the rankings for his next fight, maybe a test. And you know, yeah, we'll see how far he goes. But that's my pick for welterweight. All right, middleweight. You already know Torres Finney. I'm joking. It's not Torres Finney. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Torres Finney. I'm sorry. It's Mansour Abdul Malik. Trains with Strickland. Has fucking wicked knockout power. I remember watching him fucking. What was his last fight? Hold on. I gotta double check this. I should already have this fucking pulled up, but I'm kind of slacking right now. But Mansour Abdul Malik. He's pretty big for the division too. I believe he's 6'2", so he's about Strickland's height. He trains with Strickland. He's undefeated. I'm not even gonna try and pronounce his last opponent's name, Dusko something, but he fucking knocked him out. Remember, it was really fucking cool. Dude's like actually got some power in his hands, and he knows when to let it go. So you know, 1-0 on the Contender Series, 1-0 on fucking LFA, 1-0 in the UFC so far. I think he will go pretty far. Trains with Strickland, so he's gonna have a wicked takedown defense. You know, he's already got pretty good grappling himself. He's got insane power, like I was just saying. You know, he's got that knockout. Pretty sure he's 100% finish rate. Yeah, he's 100% finish rate. Wow, I actually fucking just realized that 100% finish rate. This dude's scary. You know, he's got a pretty decent grappling game as well, as I was just saying a second ago. I think he'll go far. He does have far to go if we're talking about him getting ranked because middleweight, he's probably going to have to win against, he's booked against Nick Klein. He's probably going to have to win that one, another one, and then maybe another one, and then he'll get a ranked opponent. Um, but, I mean, dude, I think he's ranked material already. I really do. I think he's ranked material. Again, he trains with Strickland. Like Strickland was hyping him up in his last fight. I believe it was it Fight Night Vegas 100? It was that fight night. And I remember Vegas or not Vegas. Sorry, Strickland being in the octagon or yeah, the octagon with him. So I'm fucking double like second guessing my every other thing I say now. I remember Strickland being in the octagon with him and talking about how, dude, like this guy's actually really good. And people will shit on Strickland because they think he's got a boring style. They think this, they think that. I don't fucking care, okay? Like he knows talent when he sees it. Strickland is championship material, so he can scout out other champions. My pick for light heavyweight is going to be Ibo Aslan.
I am coming for all of you, man, for all of you.
A lot of people would probably tell me, what about Navajo Sterling? He trains with Izzy at CKB. He's a really good striker and whatnot. It's just, I'm not going to lie, his last performance against, I believe it was Tuco Tacos, didn't impress me. I thought he should have knocked him out. It was kind of like one of those situations where it's like, yeah, that guy definitely should fucking be knocking this guy out. He shouldn't even be in the octagon with him. And he is a what was it? He with Navajo, it's like he should have knocked the guy out, and it's just he's so much better than him, but he just I don't know, man. The guy, I guess you can make the excuse it was the old gloves, but I don't know. It's just I'm not impressed with what I saw. Um, wasn't really a competitive fight. I'm pretty sure it was 29-28 or 30-27 Navajo Sterling. Undefeated. Good guy, but I'm picking Ibo Aslan. Ibo Aslan is overall he's 14-1. His only loss he's already avenged. He lost at Brave CF, I believe it's a Eastern European promotion, kind of Russian promotion type thing. Hamzat Chimaev came out of there. Ikram Aliskarov came out of there. I'm pretty sure Makayev came out of there and then went back after getting cut slash released by the UFC. He lost to Anton Turkal and later in the UFC avenged that loss. 14-1 overall. 2-0 in the UFC, 1-0 on the Contender Series. Really good knockout power. He's fucking massive. He in the UFC knocked out Takal, and then he went on to take the zero of a undefeated Brazilian guy at UFC 308, and he's scheduled to fight Ian Cutelaba. He is getting the Ian Cutelaba test. Ian Cutelaba is one of those guys where if you can't beat him, you're not going to be anything at light heavyweight, or I believe he also has a lot of fights at middleweight. Still, point being, um, I think he's going to knock out Ian Cutelaba. Rafael Caquera, I think. Caquera, yeah, Caquera. I don't know. I'm shit with names. If you know me, you know I'm shit with names. But beat that undefeated guy. The guy was making his UFC debut on short notice. I'm pretty sure. Um, and the thing is the guy kind of quit in the fight because he just got hit with something big and then kind of shelled up against the cage. If you watch his regional fights, he had that issue as well, where he got hit with the big shot and he kind of just, covered up against the cage. He was undefeated before, so he found a way out of it. On the regional scene, but it was kind of a red flag to me, and that's why I believe I picked Ibo Aslan to beat him. I did really good on UFC 308 with picks. I think the only ones I got wrong was like very close fights. Either way, that's not the point. I'm gonna pick him to beat Ian Cutelaba. I believe it's in the Apex. Yeah, or no, it's he's fighting at UFC Seattle on the Cejudo versus Song Yadong card. I'm gonna pick him to beat Ibo Aslan. He's got pretty good power. He has a very high knockout rate. I'm pretty sure he's never seen a decision. Unless if his wins on the regional scene were on Tapology, it just says win. If it doesn't say if he knocked him out or went to a decision, it just says win. If those are finishes and not decisions, he has a 100% finish rate. So yeah, I think that he's a really good prospect. I think he'll go far in the division. I think if he beats Ion Kutsulaba, you can argue for a Menefield matchup for him, or like an Anthony Smith or a Bogdan Guskov. I think Guskov's going to only be looking up at the rankings, but still, you could argue like an Alonzo Menefield or Anthony Smith matchup. I don't think they're going to give Smith a prospect for his last fight, though. I think he said he wants to do one more fight and then retire. So he's probably going to be looking at a Menefield after this, or fight some other unranked guy who's just barely outside the rankings at light heavyweight to get ranked. Kind of like the Yoel Alvarez, Fares Siam, Grant Dawson situation, where if any of them get a win, especially Dawson, they're going to be sitting at that number 15 spot. So, for heavyweight, very shallow division. I believe there is about 30 signed UFC heavyweights. That means that majority of them, if they beat an opponent or two opponents that are unranked, they are going to be ranked. You might be asking, who is it going to be? Is it going to be Taliesin Teixeira? No. It's going to be Mick Parkin because I think Taliesin Teixeira is a very good prospect, but I think Mick Parkin is a better prospect. Mick Parkin trains with Aspinall. He has a pretty high finish rate. He's really good technically. My only critique of him is that he's a little fat. The reason why I'm not picking Taliesin Teixeira is because I think that I need to see more from him before I believe in him like a Mick Parkin. Mick Parkin trains with Aspinall. Aspinall is a fucking insanely well-rounded fighter. If the fight goes to the floor, he's got wicked jiu-jitsu. He knows how to fucking rugby tackle people. He's deadly on the feet. Average fight time of a minute. That's who Mick Parkin trains with. Main training partner. I think Mick Parkin. I'm not sure. I think he's matched up with Tybura, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check this on um, Tapology here. Mick Parkin. He is indeed matched up with Marcin Tybura. I believe that is going to be at the UFC London card, the Fight Night London. So yeah, I would say it's Mick Parkin. He's got pretty wicked knockout ability. He's 10-0. Got a lot of finishes on his record. Does also kind of have a lot of decisions. The red flag being he took Jamal Pogues to a decision, and Jamal Pogues is kind of shit. And same with Muhammad Usman, but he did knock out Bursky. But I mean, Bursky is kind of shit. So I don't know. He's a really good prospect. I think he'll go far in the division. I don't know why. I just don't feel confident in picking Taliesin Teixeira. He's way too young. He's only fought once in the UFC, once in the Contender Series. He knocked out Tafa, very impressive. I got gaslit into picking Tafa for some reason. I think Taliesin will go far in the division. It's just I trust Mick Parkin more as a prospect. They're both undefeated. Um, yeah, I think Mick Parkin beats Tybura, and then he's looking at like a Spivak matchup or like an Almeida matchup, or even just like the loser of, or not the loser. Sorry, if Curtis Blades lose to Kuniev, then he'll look for like a Curtis Blades matchup, or he'll look for Kuniev if he wins. So yeah, I would say Mick Parkin is that guy at heavyweight after Aspinall becomes the goat of heavyweight and retires. Aspinall is literally just fucking. I mean, it's literally just Aspinall's division, if we're being honest with ourselves. Aspinall is going to probably defend against, if he doesn't get the Jones fight, he's going to defend against Gon, become undisputed, probably fight uh, Jalton Almeida, maybe be looking for. Shit, man, heavyweight is really fucked. Volkov, if he gets a couple more wins, maybe like one or two wins. Um, yeah. Shamil Gaziev, I guess. I mean, because like Aspinall's already beat Volkov, he's already beat Pavlovich, he's already beat Blades, he's already beat Almeida, or not Almeida, sorry, Spivak, Tybura. Um, yeah, he's got wins over like everyone. So once Aspinall defends a couple more times and retires as the GOAT of heavyweight, I think Mick Parkin's going to try and run the division. I think he will. I think he'll go. I think he'll go far. My thing is Mick Parkin. If you're watching, I know you're not, but if you are, no fucking Derek Lewis matchup. If you beat Tybura, no Derek Lewis matchup. That guy is so fucking inconsistent, and he will find a way to beat you when he's losing. Like it could be a 5-round co-main or a 5-round fucking fight night main event. And he's gonna be losing fucking like 49 fucking 45, and then out of nowhere he's just gonna wing some fucking retarded overhand and then knock you out cold. No Derek Lewis matchup. Stay away from that. Beat Tybura, look for Spivak or Almeida, or maybe the winner of Blades Kuniev, or if Blades loses, get Blades. If Kuniev wins, get Kuniev. Yeah, no Derek Lewis matchup for you. I'm sorry. I don't trust that. Not at all. So that is my prospect for every division. I like making this early in the year so I can see how well it ages at the end of the year. Let me know your guys' best prospects. I tried to keep people who weren't necessarily ranked or barely just outside the rankings type deal, but heavyweight is such a fucking disaster right now that you kind of can't. You kind of can't just fucking. Oh well, the fucking this unranked guy's good. Like I know Taliesin Teixeira, but dude, heavyweight is so ass that everybody is one win away from getting ranked. So let me know if you guys agree with my prospects. Let me know if you think it's gonna age like milk, or age like wine. Let me know your guys' prospects. I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm gonna be trying to be more consistent with my videos. I've got a video on lightweight that I'm working on right now. So yeah, let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next video.